Factors that affect blood pressure. Some examples of stimuli for physiological reactions in the body are activity of muscular pump and respiratory pump, release of atrial natriuretic peptide, fluid loss from hemorrhage or profuse sweating, exercise, trauma, increased body temperature, increased vasomotor tone of chemicals, dehydration, or increased body size. The main 5 factors that every student should memorize are cardiac output, blood volume, peripheral resistance, blood viscosity, and blood-borne chemicals, such as epinephrine, antidiuretic hormone, aldosterone, and angiotensin II. Atrial natriuretic peptide is normally released in response to high blood pressure. When the production of ANP decreases, the kidneys begin to conserve sodium and water. Next, blood volume increases, so there is an increase in the venous return of blood back to the heart. The stroke volume increases since there is a high amount of blood volume. This results in an increase in cardiac output. When fluid loss occurs from hemorrhaging or even excessive sweating, the blood volume and pressure also decreases. The baroreceptors in the carotid sinuses or aortic arch sense the change in pressure and signal the activation of vasomotor and cardioacceleratory centers in the brainstem. This stimulates the sympathetic nervous system by constricting the blood vessels, increasing heart rate, and increasing the stroke volume. This results in increased cardiac output as well as an increase in peripheral resistance. Stimulants such as exercise, trauma, and increased body temperature end up lowering the pH level of the blood, decreasing oxygen intake and therefore increasing carbon dioxide levels. When the oxygen concentration falls below normal and the carbon dioxide levels are increased, this activates the chemoreceptors, which send impulses to the brain. The vasomotor and cardioacceleratory centers in the brainstem are activated, which decreases the blood vessel diameter, increases heart rate, and increases stroke volume. Then the cardiac output and peripheral resistance are increased. Increased vasomotor tone in a situation such as fight or flight, you see an increase in chemicals such as epinephrine, antidiuretic hormone, angiotensin II, and aldosterone. The blood vessels then vasoconstrict and the peripheral resistance increases. When a person is dehydrated, he or she usually has a high hematocrit. This means that the red blood cells per fluid volume artificially increase and the blood viscosity or thickness increases as well. And as a result, peripheral resistance is increased. When a person gains weight, this can have a negative impact on the blood vessels. An unhealthy diet and poor health habits make it harder for the body to transport good nutrients. Blood vessel length increases and peripheral resistance is also increased. Since all of these result in either increased cardiac output or increased peripheral resistance, they all result in increased mean arterial pressure. All of these stimulants and physiological responses are obviously interlinked because the parts of the body do all function together. I just tried to break it down into separate groups so that it was easier to understand. I hope that this was helpful to you in understanding the factors that affect blood pressure.